The Combot Collective is back, and we're finally here with yet another RoboGames 2023 update. Our first one since everything has happened since September 2022. We have a surprising amount of updates, some really big names from BattleBots to NHRL, and even some international contenders from countries like the UK, Brazil, and even Iran appearing in our video today. Stay tuned, we got a lot to talk about, and it's some really exciting stuff.
Enough energy to get in the flip on Combot. We're going to go all the way. Oh my God! That's going to hurt. Grab the milk, Kenny.
Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode here at the Combot Collective, bringing everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from heavyweight class to flyweight class, from BattleBots to the live circuit. And it's been a couple months, a bit longer than I was hoping for, but once again, we finally have another update to RoboGames 2023, our first update since everything has happened since around the middle of September. I would say that is when our last RoboGames update came out, so probably actually early September, because that's when I started working on the production of that video. But I digress. Everything from that point on, so we're talking about, I'd say probably about 3 to 4 months here, given somewhere in that range of updates which have happened. And like I said at the top of the video, some very interesting inclusions, especially in the heavyweight class. A lot of BattleBots veterans, a couple of robots that made their debut at BattleBots 2022 competing here, so double rookie status coming for those guys. But we also have some robots which have been denied from BattleBots this year. Robots which we've already talked about in the past, like Snakebite brought up. Some of our ones are going to be brought up here, even some BattleBots alternates. Even the small bots class, 3 pound, 1 pound, we have some returning names. Robots you might recognize from NHRL or even Brazilian competitions, even UK competitions. And of course, even the 60 pound, 120 pound lightweight and middleweight class, we're seeing some real activity in the lightweight class, which makes me super excited. Some old school names from the non-televised era appearing there. Big time amount of Brazilian bots appearing in both those divisions, as expected as always. This is going to be really exciting, so we won't waste too much time. Tons of robots to talk about, 20 or 30 or so I'd say. Get ready to learn about some interesting names. I am your host as always, Sterling Brown here at the Combot Collective. If you like what you're seeing, please give us a follow on our Instagram or in our Facebook in the description below. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube. Let's get at it. We'll start with the small bot 1 pound ferryweight class and work our way up like we did in the last videos. Talk about all classes in one video though here. Here we go. So like I said, we're going to be starting our updates once again swiftly by going through the smaller divisions like the ferryweight and antweight class, as we kick it off by discussing Brazilian teams like Thunderratz and Trincabotz, two teams which have recently applied to damn near every weight class, so expect to hear them a lot in this video. RoboGames, of course, are very familiar with Team Thunderratz, the team likely best known for the lightweight K-Torza, a robot which we talked about last video, and a robot which has never missed a top 8 at RoboGames, and a robot which has been dominant in its home nation as well. Trincabotz, meanwhile, is a much more recently formed group, kicking off their combat careers around 2017 and have not traveled much, but are known around Brazil for their robots like Carico and their lightweight Asterion, two powerhouse two-wheel drive vertical spinners. These teams have entered Pilpolka and Stonks in the ferryweight class respectively, with the latter of these two, Stonks, recently placing top 3 at a RoboCore event back in the spring, which we covered in a previous video. These two teams also entered the 1 pound antweight class with Duende and Sirius respectively as well. Duende is a 5-year-old name for Team Thunderratz, one of the team's first robots, and is a classic two-wheel drive drum bot. Just like Trincabotz' Sirius, which is not nearly as old but does have experience at events like the Iron Cup and RSM's Challenge. And finally, for these smaller guys in the antweight class, we have a very recognizable team in Robotic Death Company of Gigabyte and Megabyte fame, now joining the 1 pound fray with a current reserve by the name of Night Fury. This robot is a full unknown to us right now. No picture on the signups page, but I would love to see a 1 pound version of Megabyte inside the RoboGames arena. But who knows what we should expect. John Balatnik, Brett Riker, that whole crew have some great minds. And of course, before we move on, we're also seeing some of the side antweight classes gain some steam, with the junior antweight class gathering some robots like Angry Paper Shredder, Titan, and Luxray, the latter we've seen fight earlier this year on the channel. But now let's get into some juicy small bots business with the 3-pound class, perhaps the hottest division in the entire sport right now. Last time we did a rundown here, we missed a key robot which was already signed up in the main field. Friend of the Combot Collective and Vanguard co-captain Zatch's 2-wheel drive Drumbot Cola. This robot has had some success in the West Coast across numerous events, but has not fought in over 4 years according to the captain. We'll have to see if the robot is dealing with any potential literal rust. We'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully it's the best for our boy. Fortunately though, outside of Cola, that does do it for us now in terms of main field robots. That sign-up page remains packed and nobody's pulling out yet, surprisingly. Looks like it's going to be a packed bracket, but despite all this, the waitlist for the Middleweight division has kept on growing. So we got some waitlist robots to talk about here, and we start with War Squawk, a robot likely from Western Allied Robotics, which will probably end up being very similar to Warhawk or maybe even its mini-bot of the same name. Western Allied Robotics has had some success in the 250-pound class with Warhawk, but has always had the small bots be their bread and butter. If they get in, they should be a contender. Now going from the West Coast to the East Coast, an NHRL regular and former 3-pound finalist Jetlag is also signed up for the RoboGames waitlist. This robot has already qualified for this year's NHRL finale with a top 2 finish at NHRL September. Can Jetlag potentially build up some massive momentum for a California trip this spring? We'll have to see how the NHRL finals go. But now let's get international once again as we talk about Thunderratz and Trincabotz for the 3rd time, both of them in the waitlist with Keibudo and Drumsday respectively. Trincabotz's Drumsday is, just as the name implies, a classic 2-wheel drive egg beater beetleweight, which has been the main beetleweight for Trincabotz since around 2019, and it's already competed quite a bit this year. And finally, we have more international robots, this time from the UK, as we have 2 more reserves for you all. 2 Bristol Bot Builders regulars in Bullet Point Onryo and BFM. Bullet Point Onryo is a very sewer snake-esque 3-pounder which has been vicious in Europe, one of the nation's best controlled beetles in the game, and a common visitor to the country's top 8 events which it attends. BFM, better known as its full name, Badfather Mucker, I nailed it on the first try, I'm surprised. This robot is a compact 4-wheel drive vertical spinner, something a bit like Endgame without the front wedge, and has been known to land massive impacts in the past. It recently made it to the top 8 in the 2021 Bristol Bot Builders finale, but fell to a wedge bot in resistance. That might be a kryptonite in this bracket. But now let's get to the big arena as we go to the lightweight class, where we really got some exciting roster moves being made, as now 24 robots sit in the main lightweight bracket with 9 on the wait list. This means we now have ITT Tech Fest in India on December 16th to 18th, having 60-pound action coming up, with teams from Brazil and Russia also competing there, and more lightweight action, of course, with RoboGames in April. It's exciting to see this class might not be so dead after all. This parade of new lightweights, of course, starts with the Brazilians once again, as we talk about for the 4th time now. Here we go, Trincabotz and Thunderratz. Thunderratz has, of course, already brought in K-Torze, a robot which we discussed in our previous video, but now Trincabotz joins the waitlist with the aforementioned Asterion. Like I said, a robot which has had much success in South American competitions like the Winter Challenge. If this robot gets into the main field, it could be a real candidate for a championship gold medal shock. But now back to the main class. Team Swamp Thing has sadly missed the 2022 BattleBot season due to personal injuries, but we do know the team will be making their return to robot combat away from hardcore robotics at RoboGames 2023 with an array of robots. The smallest of these robots looks to be one named Twister, a brand new lightweight. Unfortunately, much like Night Fury, this robot is a total unknown to us, no picture at all. Could be a mini Jetlag, could be a mini Swamp Thing, maybe something new. Tell you what, I've always been a fan, been a big sucker of Rick Russ's Death Star. Give me a 60-pound version of Death Star. I would absolutely love it. But as much as I love old Death Star, that's enough talk about the old school. Let's get back to the new school with Sporkanok, a 60-pound robot from Team Pride, the organizers of events like Robot Ruckus. This event will likely be a truncated 60-pound version of the 2020 BattleBots Championship rookie of the same name, a robot which went 0-3 despite its versatile lifter axe weaponry, losing to robots like Rusty and Hypershock. Reliability issues plagued the 250-pound Sporkanok, but the team has had time to learn, 3 years in fact, so here's hoping for a much better performance from that lovely crew. Finally, with one last reserve, we also have D6 Robotics signed up, a team captained by former Valkyrie and current Ripperoni driver Frederick Moore. This team is currently applied with a robot named Tough Love, which, like the aforementioned Twister, does not have a picture provided on his RoboGames webpage. We've seen Frederick make some interesting heavyweights like Road Rash and Boris Badenov, plus even some championship caliber smaller bots such as Marathon, a top tier 30-pound drum bot. Fred's a creative spirit though, whatever he brings should be absolutely enticing and exciting. We now move on to the 120-pound middleweight division, where last time we ended it by discussing C2 Robotics' Floorjack, a machine which I thought was an unknown heading into RoboGames, but I could have not been more mistaken. According to TCC supporter OkamiFan1, Floorjack is actually a robot which originates from both C2 Robotics and Van Cleave Robotics, and was a two-wheel drive flipper which competed during their utterly untelevised era. It's put together some impressive performances in the past, going 3-2 at the 2004 NPC Charity Open and 4-2 at the 2005 RFL Triangle Nationals. The robot was originally intended for action at Robo Olympics 2004, but would pull out, making this potentially Floorjack's RoboGames debut. This is a nearly 2-decade-old robot though, and it'll be very interesting to see what state of the machine we get with Floorjack come April. Like Okami fans said in the comments, could be a Viking burial, could be the original robot, or it could be a surprise sequel. I'm very excited to see what Christian Karlberg brings. It's just good to see him. But now we move on to some new signees. Not as many as, say, the 3-pound or 60-pound division, but this is certainly a name to circle right here. RoboSkills, a vertical spinner from Iran, has caught the attention of the Combot Collective through Instagram when it competed at an event of the same name. The Combot Collective was very impressed with the quality of these Iran middleweight robots, surprised as well, but I wasn't so much impressed with the quality of their arena. It was a cool arena for the most part, but the Combot Collective will not fully cover an event unless you have a safe arena, and a safe arena requires a roof. Maybe this Iran team will learn something from this event and take the opportunity to see other advanced machines and arenas to push their own scene, as that would be the best thing the nation of Iran can do right here. I mean, we love seeing growth. We love seeing international events. We always talk about India here. But for the robot itself, like I said, classic vertical spinner. Don't know the significance of the machine, but one can only assume they're sending their champion to this event. It looks like a formidable robot. I hope the best for it, really. And lastly, in the 120-pound class is Trincabotz once again in the middleweight waitlist, this time with Kronos. And no, not the BattleBots ring spinner, but a brand new machine from the team which we have zero info on once again as of right now. It is likely not built yet, but we can't expect it to be a two-wheel drive vertical spinner since that's sort of literally every other robot they have made. And finally, at long last, let's get to what we've all been waiting for here at the end of the video. The big boys in the 250-pound heavyweight class. We have more surprising names and more BattleBots teams throwing their hat into the arena. I do think it's best we get some unfortunate news out of the way though. News regarding the waitlist positions. Last time we did this preview in September, we discussed the top rookie of 2021, Glitch, signing up for RoboGames 2023, sitting pretty as a signed up robot, but now unfortunately Glitch has moved to the reserve class for this event in that waitlist, and now will be competing, if it does compete, under the name Anomaly. But that's the bad news out of the way. Let's get to the main field here. One robot which went over my radar when I first put together that September preview video was a machine named LazyBot. Not sure what the machine was at the time. It has now dawned on me here. Coming from Team Tiki, captained by Micah Chewy Lebowitz, member of Team Scorpius and Robotic Death Company, a man known for some of the wildest art bots in RoboGames' history. I mean, a lot of Robot Combat fans still remember the iconic mini fridge from RoboGames 2011, the wooden coffin named Pine Box at the Combot's Cup, and even more recently, and I believe the 2007 RoboGames, the Butterbot, which competed in the middleweight class. Now it looks like Chewy is at it again with what will likely be a 250-pound recliner on wheels, a ride that would make even Granny Revenge jealous. This robot is going to be food for some elite machines, and I'm 100% here for it. I'm also 100% here for any upset it manages to pull off. Let's go, LazyBot. But now, let's go down south. Speaking of shoutouts to TCU, we're winning the title, baby. To a hometown favorite of mine, Dragon Slayer out of Wildside Robotics. We saw Dragon Slayer debut at BattleBots 2021, getting a win against a fan favorite Duck. We also saw Dragon Slayer take a beating against machines such as Orby Blade and Uppercut, a couple of knockout losses there. The team decided to sit out of the 2022 BattleBots season, but has big plans for 2023 with intentions to compete at Robotica, NHRL, RoboGames, and who knows what else for Wildside Robotics. I'm super excited to see more Dragon Slayer though. Two robots which have recently been present at RoboGames commonly are Echo and Chaos, both making their first appearance in quite a few years supposedly here at RoboGames 2023, signed into the main class. We've seen Chaos number 1 and Chaos number 2 compete at RoboGames 2017 and 2018, but have always played the role of field filler and not really a medal contender. The CAD for Chaos number 3 though looks quite promising, very meta, so we'll just have to see how it plays out for them. Echo meanwhile was last seen in China during the FMB World Championships with Echo 2.0, representing the United States and placing 3rd overall versus the likes of Dietor and Endgame. The brand new Echo 3.0, captained by Jerry Brook, one of the greatest stories in robot combat right now, will be at RoboGames 2023 to hopefully defend the Drumbot's 2-year streak of not missing the semifinals. But here we go, back to the BattleBots teams now. We talked all about Terratops during our application rundown a few months ago, discussing his chances inside the BattleBox as a 2022 season rookie and his chances inside the RoboGames arena as a 2023 RoboGames rookie. As we know, right now, Terratops may be a 2022 BattleBots alternate, but will hopefully get some time in the arena and on TV. The idea looks incredibly promising, and the team seems super competent and surprisingly prepared given that this is the team's first ever combat robot period. As we mentioned in the application video, this is most notably a Vex team. By the time RoboGames will happen, Terratops and his team will have learned well what makes this robot work and not work thanks to action inside the battle box. That experience will make them an even stronger force here, I reckon. I really hope the best for Team Terratops. I know the driver watches the video, shouts to you guys. Now from one team who's fresh off being a BattleBots rookie to one who's fresh off being a first-time BattleBots reject. Team UI's Mark DeVitz and the former BattleBots top 3 seed IceWave will be putting on its best revenge dress for the 2023 RoboGames Heavyweight Championship, as all the way back in September we heard BattleBots co-founder Greg Munson talk about some of the more uncomfortable rejections he had to make this season, one of which being the reboot legend IceWave. This decision made by BattleBots has seriously upset some of the sport's largest fans, myself included, but at least all of us will get to see the internal combustion engine powered spinner perform versus the world's elite in some capacity this year. A good performance here could get IceWave right back in Greg and Trey's good graces for the 2023 World Championship. Another team fans were anticipating being at BattleBots this year was Rick Russ and Swamp Thing. Now from our 2020 BattleBots preview to the applicant rundowns to numerous news videos, we've discussed ad nauseum the situation with Team Swamp Thing and Hardcore Robotics. Both newfound rivals have missed BattleBots 2022 due to some serious injuries to their captains, and both will be making their return to competitive action during RoboGames 2023. We've already talked about rebuilding Stink Eye, a robot still on the heavyweight roster as of right now, but now we have the addition of Swamp Thing here, going by the name of Piranha now for this event. An ankle biter-esque vertical spinner won't be Rick Russ's only heavyweight present though, as the team have also announced their intentions to bring along Jetlag, the spiritual sequel to his old 220-pounder Final Verdict, and gear this, the first ever jet-powered combat robot in the sport's history. It seems Rick Russ is intending for some exhibition fights with Jetlag, but it may just end up being a demo if there's no willing or worthy challengers. It seems like an exciting robot. We'll have to see how it goes. Could also be very combustible. Ooh. Back to the main field now. We have one more robot freshly applied for the RoboGames main 250-pound bracket, and boy, it's one hell of a robot. A machine which may end up winning the whole damn thing. Team Break 32, the team behind the 2021 BattleBots quarterfinalist and Rookie of the Year Riptide, is now looking to bring that said robot to RoboGames under the name Break 32. This is actually the most recent development to happen out of all the robots we've discussed today, with Riptide joining within the last week and a half. It's a bit of a shocker and the first team to apply post-BattleBots. Riptide is a very terrifying machine and currently sits in our TCC top 10 robots. After 2 BattleBots seasons of experience, this is going to be a proper top 3 contender, maybe even a challenger to some of the sport's biggest names like Original Sin. But now that's all of our main field robots. Here's a few more from the wait list. Robots we may see at RoboGames if the slots are open and room is cleared. We have 4 BattleBots level robots to talk about here, beginning with Maryland's Team Mammoth and Bigfoot, a robot which has actually been in reserves for quite a while but has yet to move over to the main field just yet. Bigfoot, likely a renamed version of Mammoth, made a serious name for itself at live events like Robot Ruckus in Florida. Perhaps non-hazard arenas are going to be the way to go for the 6-foot-tall beast. And that's what we have for Mammoth, an East Coast lifer. We now go up to the Northern Nightmare, perhaps the best flipper in the world today, potentially the best flipper at this event, Lucky. And Lucky placed third at the most recent RoboGames event, and even more recently had the season of its career at BattleBots, finally making the playoffs yet again after 4 tries. Lucky, under the fantastic driving of Matt Olson, would pick up wins over the likes of the aforementioned Mammoth, Orby Blade, and even top 16 member P1 last season. If Matt Olson can make another US trip for RoboGames this year, Lucky could easily be the best flipper in San Mateo this April, assuming the internals are all working right. The robot looks like a well-oiled machine though now. I'd certainly expect it to be doing good if it's there. Now onto a robot which has not competed in BattleBots since the Combot Collective got off the ground, but a robot which has certainly caught our attention during 2 live shows this year. That's right, 2021 Robot Ruckus's runner-up Extinguisher is in the 2023 RoboGames waitlist, holding up a 4-4 record this year along with a number 33 rank on TCC's overall rankings for the year. But those were sportsman events, and it's all been hammer extinguishers so far during those 2 competitions. So if the Extinguisher does get a chance to pull up, we will get to see that deadly vertical spinner in action for the first time since Valkyrie vs. Extinguisher back in Bounty Hunters 2020. And at long last, we started and ended this video by talking about some of Brazil's strongest robots. And just like with Terratops, Brazil's Samurai is quite an interesting case, as it did show up at BattleBots 2022 as a walk-in alternate if things are to be believed. A situation which we got much more into detail with during our recent BattleBots applicant rundown. We do know Samurai was built by a team of Thunderratz veterans and experienced roboteers, bringing another deadly 2-wheel drive undercutter into the heavyweight class, and it is unknown right now if this robot did get a chance to enter the battle box or not during its attendance there. If it did, I watch out for Samurai, because this means the robot has worked out some kinks and has some experience in fights under its belt. And experience is key in robot combat. You rarely see at all robots nail in the first try. Glitch and Break 32, Glitch and Riptide were, no pun intended, anomalies for what they did last year. This also means, if this is the first time Samurai is entering a robot combat arena here at RoboGames, it could be worrying. Brazil as a whole, though, seems impervious to making bad combat robots, so just like for Lucky, Extinguisher, and Mammoth, if Samurai does end up showing up, I'd seriously watch out. But that's a bunch of weight classes up, bunch of weight classes down here at the Combot Collective, and you're now all caught up with everything that's happening with RoboGames 2023 in terms of the sign-up list. Surprisingly, at least not to my knowledge at least, not many dropouts, at least for notable robots, I would say. The only real big drop so far being that Glitch, now known as Anomaly in live events, I suppose, is in the reserves list or the wait list, whatever you want to call it for RoboGames. So hopefully we will get to see the UC Berkeley team. I bet by the time we've had BattleBots 2022, we're going to know how good of a machine Glitch is, and I expect it to be a very solid robot. Looking at some of those other smaller bot classes, very excited to see Tough Love. Hopefully that robot comes into the lightweight class. Same with Christian Carlberg's robot. It's a very unique situation. We're going to have to see how it plays out. Floorjack, though. Love the flippers. We need more flippers. I don't think there's any other flippers in that 120-pound class, so hopefully we do get to see it. Of course, plenty of lightweights. Hopefully we get to see Asterion show up in the lightweight class, because that robot looks insane. From all the footage I've seen in the past, you've seen some in the corner video already, I'm sure. And Rick Ross also finally getting into the mix in the 60-pound and 250-pound class. Jetlag really intrigues me. I wonder if it will be an exhibition robot at RoboGames. If David Calkins will let it run, we could potentially see 2 crazy revolutionary robots in double jeopardy and Jetlag fighting each other. I would drool over that. Plenty of other exciting options here. We're potentially looking at some of these new Brazilian heavyweights which are in the reserve class, potentially taking on Black Dragon, who might be Banguela, whoever the Uriah heavyweight is. A lot of exciting scenarios here, but we'll get more into them in a future video. Hopefully we can do 1 or 2 more of these RoboGames updates before the April event happens, and hopefully during that April event, depending on if it's live streamed or not, hopefully we'll get news on that soon. I would love to cover it, do a TCC live for it, maybe something exciting. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I'm rambling now. That's going to wrap it up for us here at the Combot Collective. Of course, I need to say it in all these RoboGames update videos, all these lists, all these updates, all these new robots, all these sign-up pages, subject to change, subject to change, subject to change. We've seen it before. We've had exciting robots apply for RoboGames like Ripper and Thor in the past. Never ended up showing up. Other exciting things planned out. Some things just don't work out. Family issues come up. Travel issues come up. So take everything you hear with a grain of salt. But I will say, I am surprised with how many of the robots that we talked about in our previous video are still here. Mostly all of them. But yes, thank you so much for watching the Combot Collective. I'm your host, as always, Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG. As for the Combot Collective, like I said at the top of the video, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook in the description below. You can also join our Discord channel. That's where all of our video updates, robot news, any sort of info goes out first. And of course, our YouTube page, where you're at right now. Please give us a like and a comment on this video, and give us a subscription. Ring the bell icon if you like what you've seen here at the Combot Collective. I really do hope we get to see Piranha versus Stink Eye, the two vertical spinners from the Hardcore Robotics splitting up, taking on each other inside the arena. Original Sin versus Riptide, that would be an exciting matchup. We'll just have to see how it plays out. That's going to do it for us, though, at the Combot Collective. We're going to see you next time. We got more BattleBots updates coming for you. Our BattleBots previews for the 2022 season we'll be releasing in the coming weeks. It's going to be exciting. We'll catch you on the flip side.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.